Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to talk about flower bed landscaping, and we'd like to thank Simon McGinn for liking and sharing the podcast. Benjamin Franklin had one of the first mail order catalogs in 1744.
He probably would have loved the internet.
Oh, man, he'd have been great.
Well, he'd probably enjoy indoor plumbing, too.
Yeah, toilet paper. He started out by listing books that he wanted to sell. The Landreth Seed Company was one of the first mail order seed companies in the U.S., and it started in 1784, and they're still in business.
Wow.
Many of the early settlers in the U.S. relied on mail order seeds for their vegetable gardens, and then once they settled into their new homes, they wanted flowers for around their homes.
Cool.
The University of Illinois found that more younger people who are purchasing homes are gardening, especially in the last couple of years. And when they were questioned about the type of gardening that they were doing, about 72% said that they were growing flowers.
Really?
And adding flowers to an existing landscape bed is an easy way to add color and curb appeal to your landscaping without spending a lot of money, especially if you're growing flowers from seeds.
Cool.
If you're planting flowers in the spring, the Old Farmer's Almanac says find out your area's frost dates.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to almanac.com, that's ALMANAC.com, and look up first and last frost dates, they have a search bar where you can enter in your zip code. So I entered in our zip code, and they say the average date of the last spring frost is April 18th, which seems pretty late. And the first fall frost is October 22nd on average. The growing season in our area is 186 days. The Farmer's Almanac says a light freeze with temperatures 29 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit can kill tender plants and flower seedlings.
Bummer.
You can use containers to start flowers earlier outside. Annual flowers in potting soil can be started around the time of the last frost. Containers will keep plants warmer than plants in ground. But small plants and seedlings can be damaged by freezing temperatures, so you can cover plants with a light cloth to help protect them if there's a day or two of cold weather. When you're picking flowers at a retail store or a nursery, or if you're looking at packages of seeds or seeds online, annual flowers are flowers that are only going to last 1 year, and then that plant dies. It's not going to come back.
Right.
Perennial flowers come back for multiple years. Some will keep their leaves to give color and texture year-round, but some look like they've died, but the root system is alive and the plant will grow back the next season. Most perennials grown from seed will bloom the second season after you've planted it, so that first year you're not going to get flowers. Biennial flowers have a 2-year life cycle. Some flowers are perennial in specific growing zones and annuals in other zones.
Really?
So if you're looking at the plant and it says this is a zone 8, which is the south of the U.S., it's probably not going to come back the next year if you plant it in Minnesota, which would be like a zone 3, some of those areas. And you can go to Brecks.com, it's BRECKS.com, or Gilmour.com, GILMOUR.com, and look at the U.S. planting zone map.
Okay.
Annuals are a great way to experiment with color and height to see what you like in your landscape beds or in containers. And then when they die off, you can try different plants the next year.
Or if you like those.
Right. Then find something similar in a perennial.
Right.
If you're buying flower seeds or shopping online, there's a lot of information on the packets. Burpee, for example, one of their Morning Glory flower seed packets I looked at said it's an annual flower. To help germination, soak the seeds overnight.
What do you mean?
So they say you should soak them 8 to 10 hours. So you just pour the seeds in a bowl. You'd want room temperature water to cover them and soak them for 8 to 10 hours. They say don't soak them much longer than 24 hours. And then sow it in an area with full sun after the danger of frost has passed, 6 inches apart, and cover the seeds with a ½ an inch of soil. Keep the soil moist, and your seedlings will emerge 7 to 21 days later. The plants will be 4 to 6 feet tall, and they'll bloom in 60 to 70 days.
Okay.
Petunia seeds I looked at said they were annuals. They recommend starting the seeds indoors in seed starting formula in a warm, well-lit area 8 weeks before the last frost. They say you'll get seedlings in 10 to 14 days. When you plant them outside, space them 12 inches apart. They're going to get about 15 inches tall, and you'll get blooms in 60 to 70 days. They say they're container friendly. They recommend 3 plants per a 12-inch container. A painted daisy I looked at said it was a perennial, and it's good in growing zones 5 to 9. They recommend sowing it in an area with full sun after the danger of frost has passed. Cover the seeds with a 1/4 inch of soil and keep them moist. You're going to get seedlings in 7 to 21 days. Keep the seeds 18 inches apart. It takes 365 days for these to bloom.
Wow.
They're going to be 24 inches tall. They say they're container friendly. You can put 3 plants in a 16-inch container. I saw a flower called sneezeweed, which I thought was pretty cool. So they say it has daisy-like flowers. It's a perennial. It gets 3 to 5 feet tall. You're going to get red and yellow flowers, at least from the seeds I saw. It's going to take 14 to 21 days to germinate, and they recommend well-drained soil. The plant is deer-resistant, so they say deer don't love them unless they're really hungry. And they say that sneezeweed is considered allergen-free. It doesn't cause an allergic reaction.
So shouldn't it be anti-sneeze weed?
Yeah, really. Well, it's funny. So I looked up sneezeweed, and they say Native Americans would soak in sneezeweed in a bath to cure a fever, and they would take the leaves, dry them, and they would inhale them to cause sneezing to get rid of evil spirits. There you go.
It's conflicting information there.
Some popular flowers to plant in spring are gladiolas, sunflowers, daylilies, marigolds, hydrangeas, primrose, petunias, and zinnias.
Cool.
Cornell University recommends matching flowers to the area and the amount of sunlight it's going to get. Check the soil type recommended for annual flowers and amend the soil for healthy plants. Flowers less than 1 foot tall should be in the front of a landscape bed. Plants 3 feet or taller at the back of your landscape bed, and plants between 1 and 3 feet in the middle. They say
So sneezeweed in the back?
Yeah, right, exactly. Group your flowers to complement your home style. Flowers laid out in rows will look more formal. Flowers can be grouped in clumps or drifts to give a more natural or casual look.
Clumps, is that a technical term?
Yes. So clumps are 3 or more plants that are grouped together. Drifts are elongated groups of flowers. They say
elongated clumps?
Right. They're recommending using odd numbers of plants, make it look more natural, where even numbers looks more formal. They also recommend mixing larger plants like flowering shrubs with groups of flowers for more impact and visual interest.
Exciting.
Cornell University recommends adding curved edges to your landscape beds to make it look more casual. You can add island beds in the middle of large lawns, and that's going to give you better curb appeal. You can run plants and flowers against a fence to draw attention to the plants and add interest and take away from fences that don't look good. And they also say make sure that you're taking into account the mature size of your plants and space them accordingly, because it may look pretty bare at first, but many of these spread pretty wide.
Right.
Purdue University says the 3 basic design rules for flower beds is to have tall plants in the back, have a complementary color scheme, and group flowers for the most impact. They recommend using a color wheel to pick your flower colors. Colors directly opposite to each other on the color wheel are called complementary, like purple and yellow, blue and orange, red and green. Analogous colors are next to each other, like blue and green and blue and violet, and that's considered pleasing to the eye. Monochromatic is using a variety of shades of one color. And they said if you want your flower bed to look very informal, just use a ton of different colors. Proven Winners says landscape flower beds look good with plants 2 to 3 feet tall at the back, plants 10 inches up to 3 feet in the middle, and plants smaller than 10 inches in the front. A group of 3, 5, or 7 of the same type of flower grouped together has the best impact. For island beds, put the tall plants in the middle and small plants along the border of the bed, or have an anchor plant like a landscape tree or a bush in the middle, and that looks good. Or you can have the plant in the center, so your anchor plant offset from the center slightly, and that's going to make it look more casual. On the Old Farmer's Almanac website, there's an article called Flower Garden Designs 3-Season Flower Bed. They have recommendations for plants that will bloom in spring, summer, and fall for a colorful landscape bed. And they have a plan for a flower bed that can be adjusted to the area that you have available. For their plan, it's 16 feet long and 6 feet wide, and they use 13 different plants. So if you need a larger bed, you're just going to double or triple the amount of plants. And if you have a smaller space, you would just reduce the amount of plants. And that website is almanac.com, ALMANAC.com. When you're picking flowers and plants for your landscape bed, compare the spacing recommended and the mature width of the plant to guide you on how many you're going to need. You don't want to overcrowd your plants. They're going to look better and be healthier if they're spaced properly. You're going to have better air circulation. The roots will have room to spread for more water and nutrients. And keep your plants spaced back from the border of your flower beds so you aren't cutting them up with your weed trimmer or mower.
Right. Should we talk about the soil?
If you're going to be amending the soil for an in-ground flower bed, you should add a couple inches of compost and dig that down into the soil 10 to 12 inches.
So you mean mix it?
Right. And that's going to loosen up the soil. It's going to improve the soil structure. It's going to feed microorganisms and the worms. It's going to allow air and water to penetrate into the soil better. You're going to have better drainage. If you have compacted soil, it's going to help break it up. And if you have sandy soil, it's going to help it retain water and nutrients by the flower's roots.
Right.
The University of Massachusetts recommends before you add your flowers in a bed, if you're amending it, to put some flower fertilizer into the bed and work it down 4 to 6 inches into the soil. And then they recommend a second application in fall. But they also say check the fertilizer recommendations and the recommended application for the flowers that you're going to be using.
All right.
Some top-rated flower fertilizers come from Dr. Earth. It's Dr. EARTH, Jobs, JOBES, Espoma, ESPOMA, Osmocote, OSMOCOTE, and Fox Farm, FOX, FARM. Flower beds are going to need about an inch worth of water a week or more in hot weather. Look for drought-tolerant flowers and plants. That's going to reduce the amount of water needed to keep your plants healthy. And seedlings are going to need more water to protect the roots as they're growing, especially in hot weather. If you have pots or containers for your flowers in a landscape area, you'd want to use potting soil. Some top-rated potting soil comes from Miracle Grow, MIRACLE, capital GRO, Espoma, ESPOMA, Proven Winners, PROVEN, capital WINNERS, and Fox Farm.
Do you have anything else to add?
When I was looking at some of the flower seeds online, I like the Eden Brothers website. It's EDEN, capital BROTHERS. You can shop their flower seeds by plant life cycle, planting season, sowing method, planting zone, bloom season, light requirements, and the height. So it really makes it easy to pick plants for a landscape bed
Right, because this is a lot of work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to do it well, sure.
Right.
Some other top-rated seeds online are Burpee Seeds, Burpee. They were founded in 1877. We talked about Landreth's. It's Landreths Seeds. They were established in 1784. Gurney's Seeds, Gurneys. They've been in business since 1866. And Harris Seeds, Harris. They've been around since 1879.
So they all know what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty amazing, huh?
Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 15 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Cindy on Twitter @FixItCohost, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.